let's take a moment to reflect regularly. Growth isn't always visible. Hey, can you hear me in the back? Growth isn't always visible in the moment. You don't always see it, but you are growing a little bit at a time, right? And I know that I have a new granddaughter, and I went to see her the other day. Just want to give you how growth works. And from the moment she has been born to now, I can see her growing a little bit at a time. At first, it didn't look like anything was happening. And then it was like in a week when I went to see her, and then another week when I saw her again. I've seen her in between, but I'm just saying 7 days and 7 days, 14 days later, I could see that there was visible growth in the moment. And that's what it looks like. The growth could be the way you're reacting to something, the better decisions that you're making, the way that you've created boundaries when you haven't done that before. So just take a moment to reflect on where you started and then celebrate how far you've come. It's not always about that destination. It's about the in-between spaces, because sometimes those in-between spaces can really stretch us. Welcome. I'm Sybil Bull, your host for Faith Based Optimum Living. Dive into transformative content for emotional wellness, meaningful living, and purpose-driven. Today, I want to dive into talking about cultivating your optimum life, how to nurture purpose, balance, and growth. Sometimes we want to dive quickly into something, but we're not always aware that we have to cultivate some things. So we're going to talk about that today for optimum living. Optimum living is not something that just happens, right? I know there's a lot of declare it, decree it, manifest it, but even the manifesting that people are talking about takes a moment. And this is not what I'm talking about when it comes to optimum living. This is something that we intentionally have to cultivate, which is much like when you think about a garden, you think about cultivating something. That means that you have to take time to plant the seeds of purpose, nurture balance, and foster growth through consistent effort. I'm gonna pause right there. You have to do it through consistent effort. It's funny, I was thinking about how when you want to change your lifestyle and you want to implement different things, you think about you might say, I'm going to do something for 30 days. But if you stop doing it on the 31st day, that means that you stop cultivating. And that's what's happening with most of us. We are doing what I call event-driven things, but we're not necessarily cultivating our lives in a way that gives us that consistent, what we call ROI, return on the investment. So today we want to just explore how it looks to cultivate an optimum life by focusing on 3 areas: purpose, balance, and growth. It's about actionable steps, right? Little small things that we're doing every day to bring us to that bigger result that we want. So just in case you're like me, I'm going to say this: go grab a notebook, open up your notes, whatever device you like, and just take a deep breath. Let's dive into what's going on so we can talk about some things intentionally. You with me? Let's go. So let's talk about purpose. Most of us may know our purpose. We may be talking about, I'm doing my purpose. But this is what I discovered, that purpose is not some grand over the top thing, where we sometimes get a little bit confused because we're competing or comparing our lives to someone else. And I just want to encourage you that it's not always about a world changing mission. It could be as simple as aligning your life with what truly matters to you. It could be as simple as aligning your life with what truly matters to you. That's what we're cultivating, what really truly matters to you and your purpose, not what you want to do or desire to do, but what really matters. And that could take some time. It could be as simple as raising a family, right? When we're talking about faith-based, we think about Jesus's mom, right? Mary was a phenomenal woman in my book because one of her main purpose was to carry our Messiah, to carry the Savior. And she did that in excellence. She did that with a spirit of grace, right? And so that's a part of purpose. And someone may say, well, who's Mary? Mary is the mother of Jesus. And so it's not about this grand thing that we do. Sometimes it's just about the small mission in life that God has given us and the purpose that changes. She had Jesus that changed humanity's life, creation, purpose, salvation, redemption. So many things happen because she understood her purpose. And so that's what makes it so beautiful. I want to invite you into a space where you take a moment and reflect. Think about this. What brings you joy? Not happiness, right? Because happiness is temporary. I bake cookies, they make me happy, right? But I'm not talking about those kind of small things. I'm talking about what really brings you joy, that deep down reservoir of joy. Like you get giddy and happy about it in ways like it brings such a fulfillment. What makes you feel alive and connected? That's what we're talking about, purpose. What makes you feel alive and connected? And so let me just give you like a small story. When I was growing up, one of the things that I really enjoyed doing was hair. Like I enjoyed doing hair, figuring out little styles and doing all those things. I won't say that it brought me joy, right? But I enjoyed doing it. So as I was growing up, I did my sister hair, my mom's hair, different things like that. But I'm going to tell you right now, that was not a part of my purpose. Not at all. It was not something that I could see myself doing long term. And the reason that I said that is when I'm reflecting and I'm thinking about it, it's not something that connects me to something bigger. It was just a gift or a talent that I was given. And, it blessed me and blessed others, but it wasn't a part of my purpose. Now, I will say that it was good that I could do hair because I had 5 girls. Man, they would have been in trouble if I didn't get that skill right there. But that was not a main purpose for me. So when you're thinking about it, I want you to think about how do you formulate what your purpose looks like. So someone might be watching, you might be listening, and you might be saying to yourself, I actually don't know what my purpose is. And someone else might be feeling like they're confident. They're like, I'm good at so many things. It's hard for me to figure it out. I want you to write this little formula down. It is, I am here to, and then there's a space. And what's your unique contribution? Like, what do you believe you bring to the world? And then you put the word by, and then there's a blank, your skills, your talents, your qualities, right? You could just write that at, I am here to do this. For example, I might say, I'm here to inspire others by sharing faith-based tools for emotional wellness and personal growth. I may say that as an example. And that's what I want you to do when you're thinking about it. I believe that sometimes we make it so hard when it comes to purpose. And we also get confused that it has to be something that we're so passionate about. I'm passionate about many things, but they're not all a part of my purpose. Your purpose guides you to your decisions and reminds you of your why when life gets hard. There are some things that I consistently see in purpose that I have done when there were storms in my life, when things were hard, when they were challenging. I was doing it over and over. So while we're talking about this purpose and cultivating it, we can't do that without, what does it look like to create what we call balance? There's a quest for balance. There's a quest for balance in life. And I like to use this word, harmony. Harmony is what's on life's demand. We want to get there. We want to know, how do we have balance? And if you think about a scale and you think about old school scale, right, where in order for it to be balanced, there has to be a distribution of weight on one side to the other to make sure that it's a balance in there. And what I'm learning is that there are moments in life, depending on the season that you're in, where creating the harmony looks like you're taking one portion of the weight and it has to be distributed a little bit more on the other side of life. And what we can say, we can break it down into some practical ways where it looks like it could be like the 80-20 rule. For those of you who are familiar with it, 80-20 rule is that 20% of our actions bring 80% of the results, or for us, we might say the joy that we want. So 20% of my actions will bring 80% of the results of my joy. If your family is your priority, then you'll schedule uninterrupted time for loved ones, even if it means saying no to other commitments. Why? Because I want to invest 20% of my action towards the 80% of the results that I want. That's how I am getting that harmony in life. If I'm saying that I want something, but I'm not actually doing any investing, I'm not putting any actions towards it, I'm not intentional in how I need to move in life, then I will say that you are not going to get that. Right? You're going to be like, I don't understand. I'm going to get here. We're not trying to just achieve balance. We want to get to the place called harmony. Another thing that I want to share with you today is, if you're creating harmony, you can't have harmony without boundaries, people. Holler it from the rooftop. You got to have boundaries. Boundaries is being that strong person that says no. You got to sometimes say no to your own self. You can't show up for everything, right? The fear of missing out. You can't let that, interrupt your peace and where you're supposed to be. You have to say no. You have to make sure that you guard your space, your time, your energy, because they're so precious. And if you're like I used to be, I used to think that I needed to say yes to even the people that you care deeply about. Like, there's a fire, this is going on. I thought I needed to show up to every fire that was burning in everybody's life. You have to learn how to say no. You have to learn how to decide on where should I be and what should I be doing, because that is how you keep harmony. So creating boundaries, even with people who are not necessarily wanting to grow in life, but want you to do all the things for them, you have to also pay attention to that. So it just starts with identifying what things you have to let go. What does it look like even today? Let's start in 24 hours, because we're talking about cultivating. If there was a small change that you had to make in this week alone, what would it look like? If there was something that you had to do in the next 15 hours of your life, what would it look like? What would you let go? It doesn't serve your goal. It doesn't serve your well-being. What would you let go? I know that it sounds easy at times, and I will be the first to tell you that I've had to sit with myself over and over and over. As a matter of fact, I did it last week. I sat down and I had to look at my life and say, I saw that I was about to have a busy life, but it wasn't going to be a productive life. So I had to decide on what was I going to let go so that I could reach the goals. And also not just reaching my goals. Let's just make sure we highlight this place. You also want to make sure that when you are creating boundaries, it's because of your well-being, right? Sometimes we can become burnt out, mentally drained, whatever else is going on with you, because you're giving out, but you're not pouring in. So you have to decide on, what one thing can I give up? And then here's one of my fave, y'all, making self-care non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable. No one gets to talk to me about it. No one gets to persuade me any other way. It is non-negotiable. And you're the only one that's responsible for your self-care, personal care, your wellness, your well-being. You are the only one responsible for that. So when you're cultivating it, you have to prioritize your rest, how you're moving, your moments of joy. Let me tell you something. I have had to sit myself down, y'all, and say, okay, you're living this optimum life, but I notice that you are about to make yourself a whole sacrifice, right? You're going to be this, self-sacrificing lady that no one is asking for, because you are doing it because you think it's a requirement. And maybe it's just me, but I believe someone that's listening or watching is also saying, yeah, that's me. I do it all the time. And I know you've heard this before, that you can't pour from an empty cup. But the truth is, you have to sit down and say to yourself, have I created the boundaries? Let's go back. Have I set up my priorities to make sure that 20% of my actions are going towards the 80% of the results that I want? And now, am I prioritizing myself? Like, where in that list did I put myself? During the week, if you're not able to see that there was self-care intentionally put on the calendar, intentionally marking off and blocking off things for yourself, then that means you have not prioritized some non-negotiables. And it could simply mean reading a book. It can look like taking a walk. It can look like going to bed on time and getting 8 hours if that's what you need. Or it could also mean just briefly pausing during the day because so much is going on. Turning off everything and just turning on your music, or just sitting quietly, or just allowing yourself to reset. It could be just that simple. That's a part of self-care. I think that some people think self-care is going to Dubai, right? Which is what we all want to do. But at the end of the day, that is just a moment. If you have not in your daily life created self-care regimens and a self-care non-negotiables, when you go away, you will come back and still be drained because you did not set some things apart. So balance is not about perfection. It's about staying grounded in what really matters most while making space for yourself. And our last one we want to talk about today is growth. Growth. I'm going to say it real small, right? Some of us have these large I want to say personality. I know that I'm an overachiever child. Some of us want to just not break the pie in quarters and cut them up. We want to take the whole pie and just eat it, right, all at one time. But this is the thing. When you're taking small intentional steps every minute or every moment of your life, you will begin to develop and see growth evolving in the best version of who you're supposed to be. So how does that happen? First and foremost, transformation doesn't require big leaps. So for all the people that are always leaping, I need you to slow down, okay? Sometimes you may just have to walk, take a step, right? Sometimes it is necessary to leap, but then after you've leaped, what do you do then, right? Because you can't keep leaping because you're going to miss some stuff. So you have to take these small moments to focus on what's my consistent action to take daily. And someone might say, well, what does that look like? Okay, you want to be healthy. And maybe you're drinking a lot of sugar, eating a lot of fats, right? We're not going to focus on losing weight. We're focusing on the results of becoming healthier. So what would be one small step? I would say, let's just start drinking more water. I didn't say get rid of all the sugar and all of the stuff because, that's not a small, that's a leap. So now 3 months later, we catch you eating sugar and doing the most because you didn't take the small steps. You took this amazing leap that was not able to be sustained. So reminding yourself that you're going to start small and you want to have a growth mindset. Reminding yourself that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Say that with me. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Meaning that in this moment, I'm not trying to do everything right. I'm not trying to check all the boxes. I didn't do this right today. I didn't get this right. I messed up. I made the wrong decisions, yada, yada, yada. That's okay. It's about progress. Holler that with me. Progress, not perfection. All right. So that challenges you to ask this question to yourself. What can I learn from this? So if I've made a mistake, if I'm supposed to be growing, if something doesn't happen the way I want it to happen, if somebody's not treating me right, if something, maybe I made a plan and it didn't come together. What am I supposed to learn? This is how the growth mindset is. And this is not failure. I shouldn't have tried this. Just going back and forth. And then let's take a moment to reflect regularly. Growth isn't always visible. Hey, can you hear me in the back? Growth isn't always visible in the moment. You don't always see it, but you are growing a little bit at a time, right? And I know that I have a new granddaughter, and I went to see her the other day. Just want to give you how growth works. And from the moment she has been born to now, I can see her growing little bit at a time. At first, it didn't look like anything was happening. And then it was like in a week when I went to see her. And then another week when I saw her again, I seen her in between. But, I'm just saying 7 days and 7 days, 14 days later, I could see that there was visible growth in the moment. And that's what it looks like. The growth could be the way you're reacting to something, the better decisions that you're making, the way that you've created boundaries when you haven't done that before. So just take a moment to reflect on where you started and then celebrate how far you've come. It's not always about that destination. It's about the in-between spaces, because sometimes those in-between spaces can really stretch us. So we want to start doing that. And here's something else you could do when you're reflecting. You can journal. Habit trackers are good. You could do all those things to help you see where you've come. I've opened up my journal many times and I'm shocked at some of the things that I have written. And I'm also celebrating myself for having seen the growth in myself from things that I didn't think that I could even get over. I had to heal from, maybe restart, maybe start something, maybe launch something, maybe do it again because I was failing. Whatever it looks like, keep reflecting and always remind yourself that it's about progress and celebrate it. What are you learning so far? I hope that you took some notes. I hope that you're listening. Because today we were definitely talking about cultivating. That's about small intentional actions towards what we're looking for in our optimum life. Purpose, balance, and growth is the 3 pillars that we talked about for optimum living. And they're all interconnected, right? So you can't separate them. They come together. This week, I want to encourage you to focus on these 3 areas. Ask yourself this: what's one way I can connect with purpose? What's one way I can connect with purpose? Another question you can ask yourself is, what can I let go of to create more balance? It's not about putting more on the plate. It's about taking some stuff off. What small habit can I begin to foster growth? Living an optimum life is about intentionality. Say that with me. I will be intentional. Remember, the seeds you plant today will grow into the life you want to cultivate tomorrow. I'm going to say that one more time. The seeds you plant today will grow into the life you want to cultivate tomorrow. Woohoo! I feel so good that you was here. And if you've been here to the end, I just love that. If this episode has inspired you, please subscribe, leave a review. It helps others discover the show. Go ahead and I'm going to have a link there. You can download Optimum Living Starter Guide, and it will be at There'll be a link. You'll be able to get that. And it's just our free thing. We just want to offer you to help you on your journey because we believe in what you're doing and how amazing you are. Thank you for joining me on Optimum Living. I'm Sybil Bull. And as always, remember to live with purpose, take care of yourself, and find meaning in the little things. Until next time, keep growing and enjoying the journey. And remember, you are created to live an optimum life. See you next time.